All righty. Abby, the share still looks good?
Yep, looks great to me.
Perfect. Well, without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and kick this webinar off? First and foremost, thank you to all of the attendees on today's conversation. My name is Will Jurgensen. I am the Director of Client Experience at Keystone Click. And with me today for the first time on the Keystone Click webinar series, Abby Radewahn. Abby, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, I'm a marketing coordinator here at Keystone Click, so I'm super excited to be here. First one, gonna be the best one.
No doubt about it. We have a lot of competition internally about who produces the best webinars. It's ultimately not a real competition, but we enjoy having some fun, and Abby and I are here to take that top spot. So without any more, Abby, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, so if you learned something new today, a little nugget that you think that you're gonna take away, we'd love if you would share that with us. You can take a screenshot of the slide, whatever you think is most relevant to you, post it on social media, tag at Keystone Click. I will personally see it and I'll let you know. We'll repost it, we'll comment, whatever, we'll be there. And we'd love to hear how it's going to help you. And you have a chance to win this book, Secrets of Ad Agency Owners, that has a ton of good marketing advice in it.
Including some from our own CEO and founder, 𝗓𝗏𝗽𝗍𝗍, as well. And Abby is correct. She will let you know because she is excellent at that. So let's go over today's agenda. You're all here for a reason, to gain some value in your marketing. And what we will be covering today is keywords, right? Why keywords are important, understanding how to best begin conducting keyword research, what to do with those keywords once you've actually been able to identify them. And then we have kind of an add-on, right? So we've added a secondary component to today's webinar as well, moving into that digital competitive research as well. So understanding your competitors better, and then how that allows you to also understand yourself. So at the very end, we will certainly open it up for questions. So throughout today's conversation, if anything comes to mind, please put it in the chat, write it down, and when the time comes, we will have some questions at the very end. So the first thing that we will be covering is why these keywords are important. As many of us may be able to relate to, Google is processing over 5 billion searches a day. I mean, think about that, 5 billion, that is just crazy. So let's take a moment to just think about how many times a day you're even going to Google, or, it could be any search engine really for that matter, but you're typing in some sort of inquiry, right? And Google does hold 92% of the search engine market share. So with that in mind, now think about how you search. More than likely, you're not just using one word. In fact, you're probably using a question. You're probably using a multitude of different words or combinations of words to create a phrase, right? And that's what we really want to think about here as we get started on the keywords. Keyword research ultimately provides valuable insight into the queries that your target audience is actually searching for on Google. So we can utilize Google to better understand how to be found on Google. The insight that you can get from these actual search terms can then help inform your content strategy as well as your overall marketing strategy. However, keywords themselves may not be as important to SEO as you do think. The final component, conducting research on messages and how people are searching online, gives us a window into the language that our ideal audience is using. And then the message will connect to your audience, just like it also has done in the past with some old traditional marketing as well. So with that, Abby, talk to us a little bit about how the two kind of come together.
Yeah, so we have this wonderful vintage Pond's shampoo ad for y'all to take a look at. And you can see the text on the left if it's a little too small to read. Just like with any marketing and any advertising, your message is so important, and what you say to people directly impacts how they're going to perceive you, what they think about you, and whether or not they'll eventually engage with you and maybe purchase a product or service. So with anything you read, whether it's an ad that you read like this one, like in a magazine, a TV ad, a radio ad, whatever it is, the message is what's going to capture your attention or not. So for example, this Pond's shampoo ad, though it's probably before my time, would catch my attention because I was telling Will I got a bad haircut, but I care a lot about my hair. And I need to keep it clean. I truthfully don't wash it as much as I probably should. So I need something that's gonna clean it out real nice, but also not destroy it in the process. So it's just this vintage ad is just a good example of how messaging can really hit people where they are. And that's exactly what you want to do.
Yes, absolutely. So let's then take it a step further and begin to understand how to conduct keyword research. So in order for us to do this, what we've actually done is we've kind of created this fictional company in order for Abby and I to walk through how at Keystone Click, we would begin to conduct keyword research. So our fictional company, oh, could you imagine if it was a real one though? We have created Keystone Pizza, the key to your pizza heart, if you will. So we're going to walk through the process of how we conduct keyword research to kind of really help illustrate the process. So with that, the first thing that we're going to highlight here is really compiling a list of words and phrases. And as I spoke about very early on in our conversation, Google provides a lot of this information, right? So the first thing you want to do is put yourself in the shoes of your target customer. What is the pain that they have, and how would they be searching to solve that problem? So even as a business owner, even as a marketing manager, whatever your role or position may be, you can utilize Google to help really kind of hone in on your keywords and key phrases. So for Keystone Pizza, one of our most popular fictional pizzas, if you will, is the pepperoni cream cheese pizza. So what we've actually done is we've typed that in I want to see, yep, we got a couple other things to add here. We've actually typed that into Google to see and understand what type of results come up. So, we can Google it, see what else shows up. And things that we look at are really on the results page, right? So for every phrase, that we're Googling, variations in the title, you can see the blue links, right? So it's giving you alternatives as well. Something that came up was recipes. Well, we're the owners, right? We don't want people to go make pepperoni cream cheese pizza at home. We want them to buy it from us, right? So we can actually utilize that as a negative keyword in our keyword research. The number of results is going to be incredibly important because that gives us really good insight into how competitive these phrases, these keywords or key phrases are already inside of search engines. And then also look at a place like people also ask, right? So what other types of searches are related to that search? What other types of keywords and key phrases are people utilizing that can give you insight into the types of words and phrases that you should be using? And then the last one here, searches related to as well, right? So it's not just about the pepperoni cream cheese pizza, but also it's about the different variations of how to utilize that, right? It's not just a one size fits all, but it's about being very conscious of the different types of keywords and key phrases that can ultimately be used.
Right. So we'll give you guys some really good ways to get keywords, start making your list of keywords for your own business. And on the screen, you'll see some tools that you can use to not only conduct keyword research, but they'll also help you organize your keywords into different categories. You really want to keep those in one central location. You don't want to be searching all over for keywords when these are things that you want to be using all the time. So we recommend the way we do it at Keystone is we just have a Google sheet, super simple, super easy. We don't have to make it more complicated than it is, with a couple of tabs for each different category. And most of the tools that you see on the screen will allow you to export your keyword results. So you can easily just export it right into a sheet and then you have them all right at the ready. So once we have our keywords established, we have them organized, we want to think about what our users are really looking for when they search things. Like what are they intending to find, even if that's not exactly the words that they put into a search engine. Like we said, like Will said before, when we typed in pepperoni cream cheese pizza, one of the things that came up was a recipe. But since we are selling pizzas, we already have our own recipe. We don't want to be sharing recipes. We're not interested in people on the internet for pizza recipes. We're interested in people that want our pizza to be delivered to them. We want people who don't want to make it themselves. No DIYers here. So a number of the tools we mentioned will give you data points to help analyze which keywords are really for you in a couple of different ways. And the two most important things that we look at are search volume, and you'll see that in the column on the right-hand side of your screen in searches per month. You'll see as far as pizza goes, the top one with 13.6 million searches per month is restaurants or near me restaurants. So we want to make sure that we have the phrasing near me in our content on our website so that people looking for restaurants near them can find us if we're near them. And then also we want to look at level of competition, which is how many other websites are showing up for that same near me restaurants phrase. We want to know kind of how we can get in there and make some waves. Now with Keystone Pizza, we know that near me is important. So obviously we want to do a little bit more research to figure out how we can really make that work for us. And we want to make sure we flag and remove words that don't match our user intent. So that would be pizza recipes, like we said before. And then we'll also flag words that have a lot of competition. So then we can look at the overall trends and see if there's any similarities. And then that'll also help us categorize our keywords into those buckets that we talked about.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Abby. And that leads us into our final step here on conducting keyword research. Last, certainly not least, right? We've already taken the time to first compile a list of words and phrases. The next thing that we're doing is we're utilizing these tools and resources online to help really kind of hone in on that list. And then as Abby just mentioned, we're taking a look at the data, right? So that leads us to the last thing, selecting your top picks, right? And this is not a task that you should take lightly at all. I mean, internally at Keystone Click for our clients, we've had projects where we've had lists, up to 500,000 words or phrases long. And it's really important for us to narrow that down to just a handful of buckets and those top phrases that we will be focusing on. And how we do this, right? First and foremost, what can you confidently create content around, right? So when you're looking at those keywords and key phrases, you should be asking yourself, hey, what types of keywords and key phrases here can I write a blog about? Can I turn into social media posts, create videos, right? Can I really produce content that's going to resonate with my end user is going to be kind of that first step. The next one is, what do you want to show up for, right? What types of keywords and key phrases that you've been able to find in your research do you actually care about that your ideal customer is going to be utilizing and is going to resonate with them because you want to be the expert in your space. And so it's going to be really important to hone in on that. And then the last component really of selecting those top picks is, where is the biggest opportunity for long-term success, right? A lot of our organic content in particular is built for that long-term success. So you're looking at your keywords and key phrases, which one have the lowest level of competition associated with them? Which ones have the highest search volume associated with them? What aligns with your intent as a business owner, as a marketing professional, whatever it may be. And then the last component here, what is that evergreen content? I mean, we talk often here at Keystone Click about, 70% of your content that you're producing being heavily focused on evergreen content that can live for that long-term success. So with that, let's take a look at what you're supposed to do again with your identified keywords.
Right. So now we have this Google Sheet, however you chose to organize your keywords, big chunk of keywords. We know which ones are the most important to our users. We know what phrases we're going to use and we know how we're going to use them. But what do we do with it? If your keywords are just sitting in that Google Sheet, they don't mean anything for you or your business. So the answer is pretty straightforward. You put them in your content. You put them on your website, in your blogs, title tags, alt text, meta descriptions, wherever you're writing words, some of those keywords and key phrases should be there. It's not that hard. You do the research and you put it in your words, and that should help you show up a little bit better.
Absolutely. And the only thing I'll add to that is, again, it's just like any sort of marketing, right? There should be a component of A/B testing in this, right? And which is just a fancy word of really taking the time then, hey, you've done the research to come up with these keywords and key phrases. Which ones are working, right? Look at the analytics, look at the data, understand how people are interacting with that content, it's only going to allow you to continue to hone in on it.
Absolutely. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit into competitive research, and hopefully you'll see how they really how keyword research and competitive research really go hand in hand. And we want to start with what competitive research even is. You can't really compete in your market if you don't know what your competitors are doing. You need to have a little eye on the competition, a little check in the rearview mirror, if you will. So with competitive research, you're going to identify a few competitors, see where they're showing up online, whether that's their website, social media, maybe even in maps. What are they saying that's resonating with people, that's causing people to engage with their content? That's something that you either want to differentiate yourself or maybe try to do something similar but do it better. How do they show up in search, and where are they putting their advertising dollars, if any? This will help you kind of identify some opportunities that you can get ahead.
Awesome. I love it. That's really good points, right? And as Abby said, we just did all this work, this hard work on understanding our own our own keywords and key phrases. Now, let's take the time to understand how our competitors are doing it as well, right? It's going to provide insight. So the first topic that we've honed in on here is the audit, right? Conduct an audit on your competition. So we've included a couple of tools here, but really auditing, your competitors using these various tools online, you're going to be able to see how your competition is showing up organically in search engines, right? You're going to be able to see what keywords, key phrases they are associated with. The first one we have here is SpyFu, right? SpyFu has both a free and a paid version online. It's going to provide you phenomenal insight into those competitors. So as we look at our competition with Keystone Pizza on the right-hand side, as you can probably imagine, we're getting absolutely destroyed nationally by some of the bigger chains, but even the competition for themselves, right? Domino's here, for example, shows up in over 58,000 keywords in Google. Now, they're not necessarily on the first page all the time, but they are showing up. So again, just to reiterate, looking where that competition shows up gives us a lot of insights, and it helps us identify our own strengths and weaknesses. And the weaknesses help us identify opportunity. So then that leads us right into kind of the educate part, right? So it's it isn't about worrying about necessarily everything that your competition is doing, but rather using that competition to better understand yourself, right? Which parts of your digital strategy need improvement? So conducting this competitive analysis is going to provide you with the benchmark for your digital presence compared to the rest of your industry, right? It's not just looking at yourself in the mirror, it's looking at the competitors to better understand how you look in the mirror. And furthermore, you will be able to better understand what your ideal customer is seeing from competitors and provide you with insights into that ideal audience expectations online. Super huge, really great information that we should all be gathering.
Right. So like Will said, we have all this great information about our competitors that also gives us some insights about ourselves and our own business. On the screen, you'll see just a few tools that you can use to do this. They'll help you not only analyze your competitors, but also analyze yourself. Because like Will said, if we don't know our own business, what are we doing truly? And these will help you see how your website is doing, especially whether it's running slowly compared to your competitors, how your user experience is on your website compared to competitors, and just help you kind of figure out where you fit in that competitive space in your market.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. And I tell you what, it's very straightforward. And that leads us to just a quick recap again of today's conversation. So Abby and I, first and foremost, talked a little bit about why those keywords are important, right? We got very specific. We compared it to the olden days, right? And how ads are so important in the types of words that are going to resonate with that ideal user. We talked about compiling the list of words and phrases, utilizing the tools, looking at the data, and then finally really honing in on those specific keywords. We use that with our content, right? Content is king. Digital research came up next. Again, the auditing of your competitors, and then utilizing that audit to really take a moment to look at yourself, educate yourself, understands not only the strengths and weaknesses of your industry and the market as a whole, but your own individual strengths and weaknesses, using that as an opportunity. So thank you so much. With that, Abby, I believe you're going to tell us what's coming up.
Yeah, so we'd love to see you here again virtually. Our next webinar is in 2 weeks on August 12th at 1 p.m. I got tripped up by the month there, you guys. Summer is flying by, truly flying. We'll be talking all about content strategy. So kind of what we talked about before. Now that you have your keywords, you have to put them somewhere, and we'll talk about how you can do that. You'll see me again along with Aaron Jordan. And then you can see the next topics that we have coming up, all about research and strategy and how you can really make the research you're doing work for you and work for your business. And we'd love to see you at all of these. You'll see the link at the bottom to subscribe to all of our webinars. You'll get access to all our past webinars, as well as invitations to all the webinars that are coming up.
Now, Abby and I certainly hope that we left you with some value throughout today's conversation, but we wanted to give you one more offering, and that is a marketing strategy session with CEO and founder Lori Ħajby here at Keystone Click. So, Will, great idea. What the heck's included in that? Well, you're going to get expert level marketing insights. You'll have that one-on-one Q&A time with Lori, the marketing guru, if you will, over 20 years of experience. I know I learn from her absolutely every single day. I'm sure Abby can relate to that as well. And 30 minutes really to hone in on your marketing strategy. There is a $99 value associated with that. And if this is something, if you're ready to really kind of boost it, you understand what Abby and I are talking about today, and you're ready to really kind of take that next step forward, keystoneclick.com/marketing workshop is where you'll be able to find that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Thank you again so much for everyone that joined us here today. I did see one question roll in here. So Abby, I'll let you just kind of kick it off first. How often should you be checking your keywords and where you're ranking online?
Yeah, and I think the first thing to consider with this is, just like any of your strategy, that's something that you want to refresh every once in a while, because the world is always changing. Especially in like the past year and a half, we've seen some wild stuff happen, right? And our strategy has to change along with it. So it's definitely something that you want to refresh every so often. And I think you get a pretty good feel for that. I don't know, Will, if you have any more specific ideas.
No, I think that's really good insight, right? I mean, what we do internally is we're evaluating it at least quarterly, right? What types of keywords and key phrases are associated, with our industry in particular. And again, something I really like to reiterate to people when we're having conversations around this topic is it's not always about the types of keywords and key phrases that you want to be found for, as much as it's the keywords and key phrases that your audience is actually looking at. So if you haven't taken the time, go back to webinar 1. You can see a couple other of our webinars where we talk about really honing in on who that audience is in the first place, right? It is truly the first step to understanding what types of keywords and key phrases you want to be found for online. And then the next question that kind of came in was, how can you get new keywords? Well, again, Abby spoke to it a little bit, right? What types of keywords you're utilizing on your website, in your title tags, in your meta descriptions, are really going to be the types of words that you're found for online. So you want to do the research first, right? You want to make sure that the words that you're utilizing in your content on your website, in your blogs, are directly associated with those keywords and key phrases that ideal customer is searching for online.
Yeah.
Dawn, sorry, Abby, please add to that.
Add to that really quick. You can also just follow the steps that you've taken before to do your keyword research. That's how you're going to find new keywords. Hit Google, hit some of the tools we listed, because like I said, the world is always changing. The internet is so full of information. There's always going to be new things. You can always check out those tools for something new, even if it's just 1 or 2 keywords.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really good question that just came in from Dawn specifically. So, working for a manufacturing company with various pieces of equipment, different keywords, of course, for each of those, while some of the competitors, are only manufacturing a single piece. So, Dawn, we can absolutely relate to that, right? We are a web development and digital marketing company. We offer a variety of different services and components inside of both of those, as well as podcasting. It's really important internally, one, that you've taken the time to, hey, do any pieces of equipment from our perspective rank higher than the others? Are they all equal? Do they all equal our business at the same component? If the answer is yes, well, then you should be producing content on an equal spectrum from there. If it's not, then our recommendation would certainly be, hey, what's more important? What has a little bit more return, if you will, or carries more weight inside of your manufacturing business, and utilize that inside of your content as well, right? It should be spread across that way. There'll always be competitors that have what we would consider, market advantages because they can focus all of their content on one piece. But it is our job as owners, as marketing professionals, to really hone in on every component of our business and making sure that you're properly, utilizing that across your marketing channels as well. Abby, anything to add to that?
No, I think that was a great answer. The only thing that really came to my mind, if you go back, I think to the blog from our last webinar, maybe check out our resources for sure. They're all great. And you'll learn a lot. We have so many blogs about marketing strategy specifically. But the only thing that I thought of while you were talking, Will, was to revisit your XYZ statement, which tells people what you do, what benefit you offer, and kind of the end result of offering that service or product. And that's like a really good place to start if you're adding new services or products and you're trying to figure out how it fits into your business. That's a really good place to kind of always come back to as your bread and butter.
Yeah, that's awesome. Our email addresses are certainly up here. Any additional questions, any follow-up questions to what we had here today, please reach out to us. Let us know. Thank you so much for spending time with Abby and I here today. And we certainly look forward to seeing you on many Keystone Click webinars to come. Thank you.